Good morning, Bitcoiners. I hope you're doing well. I'm loving my life. Who could complain? Who could complain on a day like today? Things are hilarious. Things are too funny. We're going to talk about all the funny stuff, but let's make sure YouTube is working. YouTube full of effery lately. I don't believe I'm going to make a prediction just to show you how screwed up YouTube is becoming, and we'll talk about it a bit today. There was an emergency announcement yesterday from Chris, the CEO and founder of Rumble, warning us all that YouTube will be shut down for people like me. And I think that might be true, because the other day, the broadcast from the Rumble studio was automatically denied and not uploaded into YouTube. Could have been a glitch. We'll see. We'll see. Assalamu alaikum, Muslim Bitcoiner. I hope you're doing well. To all those with no cash on such a bloody day, I had some. We had a little fun this morning, but I'm still running it around. It was some tether that I had to turn into real money, but it wasn't easy for some reason. Bouncing around wallets, but I'll be okay. I'll be okay. The Bitcoin was acquired, so we were happy. But that's fine. B for victory. Bon matin. Good morning, Bitcoin. Looks like YouTube's working. Yeah, Ben bought the dip and feeling great. Indeed. Yeah. I didn't even get locked in at the dip this morning. I got caught up in the 52K USD range. That's okay. That's okay. I was happy. I was waiting to get rid of that stable coin stuff. Who needs it? So I almost did it yesterday. So I'm glad I didn't. I'm glad I was too lazy to run in all the wallets and all that stuff. Be best for you. Something about retirement reports delivered. All Obama. Same in 2024. Yeah, we'll talk a bit about that. There's some scammy stuff going on, of course, but we're going to laugh at it, right? We don't worry about no scammy stuff. We don't worry about the scammy stuff. All right, let's just acknowledge we have a pretty nice sunrise this morning. Despite all of the trouble out there, it was real nice up here. We had a lot of fun. It was a beautiful sunrise. We did our stretching. It was great. It was great. So all that's left, and by the way, the markets might be tanking, but with that sun up, we've also got Bitcoin running, everyone. We're doing great. I'm going to have a coffee. Edwin asks, who we space dropping? I don't know if we're going to get to space drops today. We're going to be laughing. I get Rumble can't post that. They're not sure why, so use YouTube to post. Yeah. No problem, Veterans Cannabis. I think we're going to be fine. I just think it's going to do what it did on Friday, which is not upload. So my views were like half the normal amount on YouTube, simply because the live viewers just get erased. Because I can't access the show in the live feed, that's just gone. I have to re-upload it. And it wouldn't have been there unless I re-uploaded it. And I just bet that's what it's going to be like today. I think that's the new medicine. All right. We'll probably be able to find some Moscow time stuff related to all of this, but we'll wait for that. Right now, we got plenty of good Moscow time. We don't have to go far. We don't have to go to the YouTube censorship to find Moscow time. We got all that we need here. Let's start with where it's hot. It's hot everywhere again. This is what we know in the United States, okay? The U.S. faces exceptional day, okay? On Friday, it was hot. It was an exceptional day of climate change-driven heat. It's not your normal summer heat, everyone. Forget it. Summer heat, it's July, it's August. That was stupid. That was old way of describing the heat, okay? You had centuries where you could have just said, it's August, it's hot, it's July, it's hot. But those are all the stupid people who used to live in the olden days. All right. In the new days, you get to call it climate change driven heat in the summer. Okay. So if it's hot in July, this is some hot climate change driven heat, right? And they don't say it's just some hot summer weather. It's not stupid. It's climate change driven, okay? Climate change driven heat. We got to remember that. And I'll get back to that one. So here we go. There it is. It's the climate change driven heat. Know the difference, all right? All right, breakup gang? Don't think that just because it's summer, you know why it's hot. That would be dumb, okay? The smart way is to just label it climate driven heat, right? It's just Friday, though. It was just Friday. It was just on Friday. Let's remind us all, it was just Friday. If it got hot, if you felt it was a little hot Saturday, that was old-fashioned summer heat for the idiots, okay? But on Friday, it was special. It was a special heat, okay? So if you didn't acknowledge the special heat Friday, you're dumb, stupid. All right, where else is it hot? Where else is it hot? They say anyway, that a critical system of the Atlantic Ocean, right? So a critical system of the Atlantic Ocean, that's the Gulf Stream, all right? That's what keeps England not so cold in the winter, right? It's also why England doesn't ever get above 80 in the summer, right? So they got this thing coming in, some water, right? The Gulf Stream, they call it. It comes from the Caribbean, right? It comes up from Jamaica and all these places where it's hot. But now we know that a critical system of Atlantic Ocean currents could collapse as early as 2030s. It's over. It's going to collapse. No more Gulf current. It's over, guys. It's over. Don't wait around for it. Where else is it hot? We know it's hot in China. Punishing heat throughout southern China is stressing power networks and farmland as extreme weather continues to exact a deadly toll in the world's second largest economy. So it's hot in southern China, and it's like America. It's not that summer heat. It's not the stupid summer heat, right? No, it's climate driven, but only on Friday. Remember, only Friday. On Saturday, it turned into normal again, right? It's just normal heat. Okay, normal. Remember, there was a difference on Saturday. Now, what they're asking here in the Washington Post, right? We got all this heat, and what do you do with the heat, right? What are we going to do? It's hot, right? What do we do? Normally, right, if it was just summer heat, you turn the air conditioner on, right? You turn on the air conditioner because it's just summer heat. But if it's climate-driven heat like it was on Friday, well, they have better advice for you now. Why you shouldn't buy, okay? Why you shouldn't buy a basic window AC unit. A basic window unit is typically cheaper than other models and relatively easy to install, but you never heard this before, guys. They guzzle energy and they contribute to emissions. There's emissions. So if it's just summer heat, it's okay. But if it's the climate-driven day of heat like Friday, no AC, no air conditioning, no window unit. It might be easy and it might be cheap, but you got emissions. It's going to have emissions, everyone. You don't want emissions, right? We don't want the emissions. And, while we're at it, right? While we're at emissions and what emits emissions, right? Like the ACs, right? You don't want those. That's not the only thing that is destroying the world and creating more climate change driven days of heat, right? They got another problem in the Washington Post. It's not just the air conditioners, okay? There's another culprit in your house that's leading to more of these days of heat. And this one is your refrigerator, all right? The Washington Post letting us know here that have refrigerators spoiled everything? Do you have a refrigerator in your home? Are you contributing to this? Are you that kind of a person? Breakup gang? Are you out there just like casually having a refrigerator? And if you didn't know, it spoils everything, right? In Frostbite, Nicola Twilley travels the cold chain that preserves what we eat. And she goes on to say that she's a food and health reporter who's studied cold and refrigeration for many years. Her engrossing book combines lucid history, science, and thoughtful consideration of how daily life today is both dependent on and deformed by what? By the matrix of artificial cold. It's a matrix of artificial cold. And it is absolutely deforming the modern world. We're deformed. We're like mutant cripples because I mean, I like cold water, and you know me, I like to put ice in my water. Very deformed, very deformed. I mean, it's too deformed. I can't even describe it. It's really bad. It's not going well for us who like the who like that stuff. You know, it's just not. It's not good. Not good. All right. What else do we got here? Right, we got this one. This one's pretty good. Okay, this is we're out of the world of where it's hot and our deformed lifestyle because of our refrigerators and the idiots who put in wall window air conditionings. They're all the worst, right? The smart people here know, right? Because they use some science. So let's just forget about global warming and how there's no tomorrow for a second, right? Let's find out where we came from. Let's look back, right? All these scientists, they haven't figured out. They like what they found out, everyone. It may be hard to imagine that complicated life forms were here early on Earth, right? Oxygen was low, right? The asteroids may have been pelting the baby planet's surface, they say. But despite those harsh conditions, a microbe may have persisted. And that's where we came from. It may have been a microbe. It's a microbe, right? So they believe that, you know, the science that it's a hypothesized. It's not a real microbe, right? They think it might be there. There might be, and it magically appeared, maybe from an asteroid. Maybe it appeared, right? And that's where we all come from, right? They call it the last universal common ancestor, right? Now they're out there saying you're an idiot for believing in God. Okay, God, what a loser, right? You could have this beautiful hypothesized, maybe it lived, maybe it didn't, but it's our ancestor microbe. So much more fulfilling. I'm so glad these scientists, right? They don't have any proof of this, but they've hypothesized it. Okay, so they've hypothesized it. So it's in the newspaper. It's perfect, right? Oh, I love these people. They're the best. They're the best. Who else do we have? Oh, this is great. Oh, she's looking good. I thought it was what's the one with the Bud Light first? The Bud Light girl. Who's the Bud Light girl again? I don't remember. Dylan Mulvaney. I thought it was Dylan. No, everyone. That's Melinda Gates. Melinda French Gates. Okay, not Dylan Mulvaney. If anyone out there says she looks like Dylan Mulvaney, I don't know if it's a compliment or if you're being an asshole, but don't even think that way, okay? They have nothing to do with each other, okay? There's no connection whatsoever between Dylan Mulvaney and Melinda Gates and Bill Gates' appetites. There's no difference, okay? Just forget it. But here she is, you know, Elon, dumb, stupid, not even a real philanthropist, right? Melinda Gates, she's so accomplished. She spent all of her hard-earned money being a philanthropist. So good for her, right? We got to congratulate her. She's great. She's just great, right? Who else do we got? Oh, this is great. So, you know, we're going to talk about the markets crashing and maybe by 2030, the Gulf Stream is collapsing and we got climate-driven heat days. We got all kinds of trouble, right? But despite all of that, right? You might have been wondering what's really important in this world. So good thing, MSNBC had a full night of amazing programming for you last night, right? If you tuned into MSNBC last night, you could have heard about the terrible book burnings, right? They got book burnings, right? So there's a lot of books out there that are trying to teach kids how to give a blowjob and what a blowjob is and what do you do if the dick was cut off and what other things can you do and what other ways you can have sex, right? So those books are getting burned. And you could have learned all about it last night, right? You could have watched a documentary, To Be Destroyed, right? And then, if that's not enough, when that was over, okay, another one started, and it was called "It's Okay, It's Okay, It's Okay, It's Okay, It's Okay." To Be Destroyed, It's Okay. Those were the titles last night. To Be Destroyed, back-to-back docuseries. Thank you, MSNBC. It's perfect for America's mental health. This is exactly what was needed, right? It's exactly what was needed. So it was awesome. So I'm very happy about that. Very, very happy. What else do we got in the fake news? Oh, this is good. This one was good. Okay. This is really nice. I remember, and this is correct. Okay, this is from Vox. I remember when Trump was complaining about the stolen election, right, in 2020, and I was in Florida in early 2021, and people had T-shirts everywhere, right? They had T-shirts, and it was the Terminator T-shirt, but it had Trump's face, and it said, "I'll be back." Very, very, very Nazi-ish. We all know that, right? And now finally someone does some honest journalism here. The far right politics of optimism, right? I tell you all the time, we've been optimistic here in the morning. We try to call this the most optimistic show in the news. This is the most optimistic show in Bitcoin. But little did we know this whole time, we were being just like Donald Trump. Right, our optimism sounds, and now that they pointed out, right, the common internetism, we're back, right? Sounds a little like Wehrmacht, Wehrmacht, right? So it's not an accident, just like they say in the Vox. It's so credible. It's not an accident. We're basically going out there and just sig heiling, right? There's no difference. There's no difference. It's the same thing. So that's what's going on over there, right? So that's our Moscow time for today. I thought I had another couple of them. Oh yeah, this one was I had this one here on Elon. Right, sometimes it's easy. This is from the Washington Post. Right, sometimes it's easy to forget that Twitter isn't Twitter anymore until Elon Musk or his invisible hand comes along and reminds us. Right. And there's a lot of other stupid shit out there. But let's talk about what everyone has on their mind. And that is the incredible market crash this morning. Lots going on. We've got the Tokyo markets, the Japanese markets shut down. We've got Robinhood app. You can't even buy or sell your Bitcoin this morning. The market is completely trapped. It looks like the Turkish market or something got shut down too. So Robinhood is, I guess, I don't know how long they're shut down for. That Martini guy here is saying, unfortunately, I think the stock market will probably collapse. Japan's situation is worse than thought. Their economy has broken. Their stock market is closed due to excess selling. Is this 2008 all over again? Bitcoin has fallen, I think, 15% overnight or something crazy. And yeah, we've got England. We'll talk about England in a second. But yeah, a lot of bad shit going on this morning. It's not funny. There's a lot of bad shit going on this morning. Patrick Bet-David had a really good thread on it. So he says, brace for impact tomorrow opening of the market, which will happen in a few minutes. Will reveal a ton. Few strange events taking place causing concern. Apparently there's this underground bunker below Tel Aviv where the Israeli Central Command has moved its decision-making to, because they anticipate more open warfare. America may be drawn in. Japan, indeed, the stock market is set to, I think it's the worst crash in Japan since the 80s or something like that. So there you go. It's let's see what else he says here. So Japan's stock market, it's worse than 1987. Bitcoin is down 22% from last week now. And then Warren Buffett liquidated a lot of Apple the other day and went into a cash position, $277 billion worth of cash. And he's exited his stock market position. So what does it all mean? We'll see. Patrick Bet-David has a few thoughts on what it all means. Like, what are the potential repercussions? He says, first, nothing. 2, shit's about to hit the fan. 3, a possible World War III is imminent, and America may be forced to get involved with Iran/Israel if Iran attacks. The overdue recession is finally here. Global recession after printing a bunch of money is here. Either way, I follow a basic rule. I lean 51% on future looking bright and 49% on only the paranoid survive. And then he says, God is good. And indeed, you look at all of this stuff coming down and what's happening, and it made me think of an old board, which I wrote and created back in the crash of 2022. So I went back to the old crash whiteboards and had a look. You can see there was some snow. This is when we were hot on the tails of destroying SBF. And yeah, we'll talk about Lockheed Martin and stuff in a few seconds. But this is kind of a world order thing, right? This is kind of like a world order graph. And I tried to give the sense of what the world order was in feudalism. Of course, you had your crown and your royalty, then you had your bases where you kept it all, like castles and fortifications, the actual physical land on which feudalism was built, and then of course the security of that with armed forces and knights and professional knights and things like that. Nationalism kind of upended this, right? We saw politicians coming to the top instead of kings. Instead of a castle and a fortress, it was a bank that needed to be protected. You've seen a lot of this in Jason Lowery's Soft War, right? And then, of course, the military armaments that came after it, and then all, again, supported by people at the very bottom, right? This was the hierarchical nature of that world. And then, of course, the transition that we see ourselves going in from top down, you can see the arrows, to what we see with sovereigns. If you can't really see that, it says sovereigns, right? We went from feudalism to nationalism to sovereigns. And in sovereigns, of course, the base layer is the money. So we're all resting upon the money. It's not people that are the bottom rung. The base layer is Bitcoin. From there, humans can achieve incredible things by leveraging their Bitcoin. Now, in the formula that we see here, right, we can actually tell that whatever's going on out there today, whatever's going on with this bear market, with this financial crash, with what's Jerome Powell going to do today? Jerome Powell, where are you, Jerome? What's going on? He's going to have to come make an appearance today, and he's going to come in and he's going to say, oh, emergency rate cut or some bullshit like that, right? So if they don't, that's fine too, right? We're okay either way. So what we're seeing here, though, is there's a crash going on out there. But as Bitcoiners, what we'll see in a second, and this is sort of along Patrick Bet-David's formula, right? 50%, 51%, the future is bright and looks great. 49%, we're fucked. I don't care about his percentages, but just look at what is actually going in which direction. Right now, I understand Bitcoin's coming down, but it's coming down with a centripetal force of the entire fiat world coming down. And why is the fiat world coming down? Why is this even happening? Well, in a top-down structure like this, if this piece here is not credible, and this piece here is incredible, and this piece here is incredible, then that can't stand. It just doesn't make sense. The people will not support an incredulous amount of activity on all three of these pillars, right? This has to be there. So what we see is, just take a look at politicians, right? Just take a look at politicians. Everyone having a laugh today because, of course, Nancy Pelosi is saying that Joe Biden should be on Mount Rushmore. Meanwhile, Kamala hasn't had any speech, hasn't spoken to anyone since she was nominated. She won the nomination this weekend. She has enough delegates now. She's still 2 or 3 weeks from even having a conversation on the internet or anywhere. So with all this turmoil, right, one would think she's going to be asked again to speak, probably, right? But who knows if she will? Who knows if she's capable? Again, I've continued to predict that the best case scenario for Trump and Bitcoin is for the economy and what's going on with the Federal Reserve and what's going on with the banks and what's going on with the stock market. As long as that's the number one question, I don't think Kamala Harris can get elected without a massive amount of cheating, because this is what's on most people's minds. Everyone is starting to think about the economy more and more. Everyone's worried about this recession. Everyone's worried about a financial collapse. Everyone's worried about an American financial collapse in particular. Now, where else would we go financially in America if it's not Bitcoin, right? Well, look at these pillars, right? The politicians, not exactly inducing a lot of confidence, right? The banking system, well, it's liquidating today. Despite whatever is going on in America, it's contagions taken in from the rest of the world. We'll see if they can fix it, but go back to the military spending one. We see Lockheed Martin stock going through the roof today, right? Lockheed Martin going absolutely through the roof. But it's not that simple, unfortunately, for Americans and for all the people worried about which books are being burned and it's okay and all this stuff, right? Well, there's a lot more going on in the world. And one of the things that happened over the past few years that is a main part of the Triffin dilemma and a main part of the contagion that America has already absorbed, which is the hollowing out of America's manufacturing base because of the because of the priority given to financial engineers and Wall Street and all that stuff. So while Americans are sitting there today, like we're saying here, that Lockheed Martin is going through the roof, right? We see Lockheed Martin going nuts, Edwin says. Yeah, okay, but how much longer is that going to last until people realize it doesn't go anywhere but to China? We don't make drones. We don't make any weapons anymore. That's all finished. So Lockheed Martin, I mean, okay, but it's not going to be able to save America this time. It's too late for that. We've already hollowed out our manufacturing base. That isn't going to work. So if you go back to the actual pillars here, America's in big trouble. We don't have this. We think we do, but putting money in a market that combines these two, we're going to find out because of the actions of these people that doesn't work anymore. It's finished. They can put all the money they want in Lockheed Martin. It's not going to save anyone. You got to go send that money to China and buy the parts for the drones, and that's the only thing that works anymore. Drones are the only thing that works, and we don't make them. We don't know how to make them. We don't have the facilities to make them. We couldn't make them today if we wanted to. Balaji brings that up. Drones are made in China, how the US and its allies lost their battle for the drones. Most components of commonly used drones were invented in the US, Japan, and Europe, but they're almost all now made in China. So we'll see where that goes, but I don't think there's any amount of money that can go into Lockheed Martin's market cap that's going to save America. It's just not going to work, right? Better off buying pork belly and feeding it to the invaders. That's about your only hope, right? Or the guns that we all know will buy. So indeed, we've got Luke Mikic. I've talked about this guy's, I don't know, from New Zealand or Australia. I don't know the difference in the flags down there, but I know I follow this guy. He's a Bitcoin markets fella. He unfortunately got stopped at the border to come up to Bitcoin Nashville, so he missed out on that. But nevertheless, here he is, saying, well, Lockheed Martin stock just pumped 23% at the same time the markets are dumping. Why is one of the biggest military industrial complex stocks in the world pumping while the rest of the world is dumping, right? US getting smoked, Asian Black Monday 2.0. Someone knows something about World War III, he says. So that's what's going on over there. Now, let's go back to this whiteboard frame, right? And what we see possible with this formula and where things are headed after this. So if you consider the weakness that we've seen, right, with the markets and where Lockheed Martin is going and what are they even building and will what they build be useful? And we again consider this in terms of the actual corruption that's brought us to this point and why things are so crazy, right? Well, just look at what's happening, right? You've got a news service that is not asking for Kamala to even explain herself. They don't care. They just want to say, oh, she's great, how energetic, how enthusiastic we all are. But reality bites. And there's a whole layer of reality now of moms and dads that won't have the luxury to say, oh, it's so great. The way her skin shines in the sun is the best feature. And the kind of genitalia she has, wow, that's what I want in a president. Anyone who has the luxury of talking like that right now is not experiencing any of the repercussions of the failures of these folks. They're not the folks that are wondering how the election went, whatever way it went. They're not the folks over in the UK right now. What's going on in the UK, right? Just complete and total riots. This new weak leader they have is sitting around, you're all got to be nicer. He's going to try and nag them like a woman, right? He's going to try and say, oh, you guys got to be better. He looks like he's being too hard on one side or the other. I don't really care what's going on over there. But what you can tell is they're not going to solve it, right? It's not going to go away. It's not going away. It's the same thing we can start up in America at any time, right? And one would imagine it's going to happen. one will imagine it's going to happen. But the good news is, right, we're starting to understand more about this corruption. We're starting to understand way more, and I don't think there'll be any way to stop the knowledge that's about to spread, right? We've got OMG, the former Project Veritas thing with James O'Keefe. So he did an excellent report this week, and this is what I think is going to happen, right? I continue to think what's going to happen. There's no way the Democrats aren't going to cheat. There's just no way. There's even Republicans out there trying to treat for the Democrats, right? So there's cheating going on all over the place. The difference this time, it's what Trump didn't have in 2020. He didn't have the weaponized autists. He didn't have the Bitcoiners 100% behind him. He didn't have the exact people that are going to be able to catch the cheating this time. He didn't have these people. Now, James O'Keefe was someone that I would say would have been on his side last time, but he didn't quite have the bandwidth or the broadcast capacity that he does now. So he went out this week and got all of the details basically on how the campaign finance money laundering system is working. So they get these old people. There's no physical human way they could ever make as many donations as they say they're going to make. It's the entire, what do they call it? The Act Blue, right? So Act Blue. So it looks like James O'Keefe has caught Act Blue. And right away, our favorite attorneys general from Missouri, and in this case, Virginia. So that would be the Youngkin administration, have taken a look at what James O'Keefe has learned and have launched investigations into the money laundering scheme they've described. So what we know is the attorneys general of Virginia and Missouri, along with the Secretary of State of Wyoming, the Bitcoin people, right? The Bitcoin people are going to save this thing. So the Bitcoin people come around, have announced a simultaneous investigation into Act Blue over allegations of a money laundering scheme. Investigative journalist James O'Keefe broke his first major investigation in March 2023. So this is about, how O'Keefe Media Group started to, that's the OMG thing, how it started to gain traction. The legendary journalist released a video from his investigation of the Democrats' vast network of donation harvesters. The investigation involved millions in donations, donation harvesting, and all of these things, right? Average Americans living in an average house in an average neighborhood, or at least that is how it would appear. Another massive pattern discovered is, and that was just the normal people giving money and not really being them, is that active donors were all unemployed. It appeared that their full-time job was making donations to Democrat candidates and their campaigns. Gleason asked active donors what they would think if he told them that he had identified donors who were making thousands of campaign donations in an election year. They all had the same response. Anyone making that amount of donations is laundering money and is part of a criminal enterprise. So again, the difference this time around is I think we're going to catch them. I think it's going to be irrefutable. And the reason we can do that is we have the capacity now. We have the actual high IQ, analytical people that just weren't around with Trump last time. So the human resources that are there, the capacity that, and it's not even Trump. It's not even Trump. Just look at the story with RFK this weekend. Did anyone see this story? You got to see it. It's the funniest thing. Now, what you got to do is you got to listen to RFK preemptively tell the story to Roseanne Barr as an audience member, right? So you got to see this. You got to hear it. You got to listen. RFK, first of all, is a great storyteller, right? He's just a funny storyteller. Nothing can even prepare you for what the story is all about. It's hilarious. And it wasn't even that long ago. So you got to listen to the whole story. But that's not what we're here to talk about, the story and how funny it is, right? What we're here to talk about is how RFK was able to outwit the fake news. So he knew this story was coming out, right? Basically, this is the fake news headline, okay? RFK admits to dumping a bear carcass in New York Central Park, okay? And they're trying to make it sound like he's some kind of a psycho animal abuser. Nothing could be further from the truth. It's the kind of thing that when you hear the story, you're going to find out that you wish you were there. I heard that story and I was like, damn, I wish I was there. And I'll tell you, I was just with Bobby the Third in Nashville. And these Kennedys are something else. Bobby the Third, there's a riverboat in the Tennessee River, right, that runs right through the middle of Nashville. And he's talking about hijacking it and paying the guy off. He's like, what do you think it would take to steal that boat? What do you think we'd have to pay the pilot for him to let us take that boat? And I mean, he is like, he's got like some kind of an autistic, pulse going on in his body. He's just like, how do I get on that riverboat? How do we take control and commandeer that riverboat, right? And he won't let it go. Like, we're all just having fun. And he's dead set on commandeering a 150-year-old riverboat, right, with the whole old thing, right? And it's a giant thing. It's a giant boat. Like, I would not even know where to start to pilot this thing. I don't like piloting boats to begin with. He's going, like, in his mind, he has the entire plan to commandeer this boat, right? So he's from this guy's genes, all right? And if you hear the story, you're going to find out that it's hilarious. But what Kennedy did with Roseanne Barr yesterday, by preemptively ceding this territory, by preemptively saying the story the way he did it and telling it in the hilarious way he did, he's actually cut the nuts right off of the fake news's ability to hang him with this story. He got way out. It could have gone terrible for him. It was the way this could have been handled had he not been so clever to preemptive it, actually could have ended his campaign, because the fake news can still pop a little semi-boner and get some stuff done, right? But it can't really do the job. So a little bit of preemptive intelligence on the part of RFK here allowed him to completely change the narrative, to turn it into what we all know the story as now after this weekend. It's funny. It's just funny. And you got Roseanne Barr just like, ah. So the way he did it shows, this preemptive way he did it is actually a taste of what's coming. That's a taste of what's coming, right? We got way smarter. And this fiat, up and down ridiculous system, this order of things will not be capable of preempting what we're seeing, right? In the case of these sovereigns, what we see is, take RFK, for example, right? RFK preemptively destroyed the capacity for this top-down system to brainwash these people on the bottom. He got to them first through his exceptional storytelling skills, through his ability to call up a friend like Roseanne Barr, or if it was just a planned meeting anyway, he was able to cook with the ingredients he had and make something that actually changed people's minds and preemptively stop this. And we saw this already this week, right? It's not just him doing that. Elon Musk did it this week. Elon Musk, don't forget, last week chided the President Puwell, right? President Puwell was taking a dump in the American mind last week about the economy's fine, we added jobs and blah, blah, blah. And now the whole thing's burning because it's a fake system. So that's why Puwell is going to have to come out today. Jerome Puwell, the Federal Reserve president, is going to have to come out today, President Puwell, and he's going to have to go back on what he said. But we already knew that. We already knew he was going to have to do that. We already saw from what Elon Musk said last week. Elon Musk criticized the Fed governor for the Fed president for not lowering interest rates last week. He said it's already too late. So it looks like Elon, another one of these sovereigns, is right again. It looks like his advice for what the central bank ought to do is already clear. The only way to save this thing is to keep printing money. And when they were laughing at Trump this weekend, by the way, with his line about how to take inflation away and get rid of the debt, it was perfect. It was perfect. If you guys missed it, this is what we've got to look forward to for the next few months. All right. We've got someone like Donald Trump who actually understands what's going on. But we all know the way he speaks and his choice of words and the language he uses lights people's brains on fire. Right? So he comes out this week and it says the most intelligent thing a presidential candidate has ever said. When they asked him, what are you going to do about the debt? And he goes, we're going to pay them with a little Bitcoin, right? a little crypto check, we're going to hand them a Bitcoin. And of course, all the stupid people lose their minds. They lose it. But it's the only coherent answer in the marketplace. It's the only one. It's the only good idea out there. So again, it's the stupid people laughing at the smart people. The smart people with the answers are just going to keep plowing ahead. We're not going to stop for the stupid people. There's no stopping for the stupid people anymore. And again, remember, if Kamala and Biden win, right, it sucks for humanity. More people will have to die before we switch systems to this, before people start to realize that this thing is just a pathway to jumping off a cliff and committing seppuku in order to solve unemployment for the people who are living, right? It's a stupid system and no one's going to follow it anymore. No one is going to follow these people. And their ability to continue to conjure that kind of leadership is leaving every day. The new British Prime Minister, he's already getting circles run around him by Nigel Farage. Nigel Farage is calling Parliament back to deal with the stabby in England, right? So this new guy doesn't look like he's going to be able to make it. And the ability for us to preempt these stories now, and the ability for us to even articulate how bad things really are. You look at this Pennsylvania governor who's about to be maybe the vice president, and everyone bringing up this murder story if you haven't seen this. So it turns out when he was attorney general of Pennsylvania, so it's this guy Shapiro, they say he could be the vice president. He's a little fella who is the governor of Pennsylvania and was at one time attorney general. So it turns out when he was attorney general, he reviewed the case. He let a friend of his off that he went to college with or something of a murder suspicion case where it looks like this guy's girlfriend died of something like 20 stab wounds, 10 in the front, 10 in the back, 2 stabs after she was dead. And they ruled it a suicide, and Shapiro himself ruled it a suicide, right? So again, we have the weaponized autists. We have all of these people now who weren't around Trump last time, and they're going to go find whether this is true. I have no idea what happened with this guy and girl. I have no idea at all, right? I don't. Maybe there's an explanation for why he was AG and he got rolled and he made a mistake. Maybe. I'm not going to accuse him of accomplice to murder right now until I see more evidence, right? He is still a American citizen despite working for the government. It wasn't a government agency that did this. But remember, when it comes to the incompetence of government agencies, they don't get to benefit from the presumed innocent clause that individual humans get to live with, and benefit from. The government is the opposite. You should assume them guilty every time. They're not going to prison as an entity. The only reason you have the presumption of innocence is to keep you out of prison. You can't put an institution into prison. You can collapse it out of a lack of trust, but that's prima facie, what we say in law, prima facie, on its face. If it's on its face untrustworthy, then it's already lost its mandate to cultivate trust and confidence and faith. So the same standard of putting an individual in jail does not apply to the government. It's a completely different thing, right? So here we are with individually super capable people, Elon Musk being one of them, all of the weaponized autist army that's there that, again, was not engaged in the 2020 election at all. Those people now are coming, and those people are not going to live under the system. We don't have to live under this. We don't have to. This is a completely fake and stupid system that is out of gas, out of energy, out of ideas. They're sitting around saying they should put Joe Biden's dumb face on Mount Rushmore. If they put Joe Biden's face on Mount Rushmore, we should bomb the whole thing to the ground. It would be the dumbest monument in the world. And we would do so, right? It would be an actual indictment of all of American history. And maybe that's how bad things have to get. Maybe we're not even close to the limit of how bad things can get, but it doesn't matter. Anyone who lives in these systems is going to have to go down with the ship. There is no way to save it. It's over. And so you're left with this gulch situation where the smart people, the weaponized autists, all the other people that know how corrupt the system is are already broken away. We don't care. So whether or not Kamala or any of these people scam to win, we don't want to see it. It is the fastest way to get to Bitcoin standard, but it involves the most death. And we don't want that way. So that's the only reason why we oppose Kamala and the other whatever else is going on. So we want it to be fast, but we want it to save as many lives as we can. We want as many Bitcoiners, as many people living in a Bitcoin standard type future as we can get. We need all the people. We don't want few people in the world. We want a lot of people. We want to go further, and we want to be able to do all the things that the sovereign great people can tell you are possible. We can terraform Mars. We can terraform the moon, maybe. I don't know about the moon, but we can terraform Mars. We can make Mars like Earth. We can live there. We can live in all kinds of solar systems, in all kinds of places in the solar system. We can terraform more parts of the solar system. If you read my book, Blue Moon, Orange Coin, you'll see that we make this very easy, very possible. You can get all around. That vision of the future is possible. And the only thing stopping us from that is this old system, these old stupid people and their microphones. But the good news is their reputation is going to shit. We're looking into one of these guys. He might be the vice president. He might be a murderer. That won't be well for their reputations. And they need that prestige. Without the prestige, they're nothing, right? Without this, oh, he's a politician. Well, if politicians just become known as murderers, then that'll take care of that, right? So we're on our way there. And that's the good news. And I'll go back to this is something Balaji sent out today. And this is something that we all have to remember, right? It's a Hayek quote. And he says, I don't believe we shall ever have a good money again before we take the thing out of the hands of government. And we can't take it violently. All we can do is by some sly, roundabout way, introduce something that they can't stop. And we've done that, because what's about to happen is that Bitcoiners have understood the don't trust, verify meme. That's the point of Bitcoin. That is the meme number one. 21 million, I'd say, is the first meme, but the minute you understand the memetic importance of 21 million, it goes very quickly into don't trust, verify, because how would you know if there's 21 million if you didn't verify? So very quickly, Bitcoin teaches you the memetic power of don't trust, verify. And that's the meme that's going to save us. That one saves us, because what it will do now is we're going to take don't trust, verify, and you can read it in my book, The Bitcoiner's Guide to the US 2024 Elections. You can watch past versions of this show. You'll hear it again. The thing that is going to get us across the line here is that the election system and Bitcoin are the same thing. You're dealing with decentralized databases, distributed databases that need to come to some kind of, what do you call it? Auditable record, right? Bitcoin is an auditable record. It's an auditable record of Bitcoin. And having an auditable record gives you confidence in Bitcoin transactions being real, having happened actually, what happened when, and Bitcoin can do that. Now we're taking that knowledge and the trade-offs that we've all understood in Bitcoin. In Bitcoin, we've understood it's very difficult to make these databases. You have to go through the engineering trade-off of convenience and credibility. Bitcoin has understood, Bitcoiners have understood for a long time that in order to verify the network, in order to verify and make it verifiable, that you need these engineering specs the way they are. You can't play around with them too much. And if you play around with them, you introduce unknowns. So that's the reason why Bitcoin has been the opposite of Silicon Valley, not fail fast and break things, go slow, think of adversarial environments. But remember, the number one organizing principle, the North Star, is the auditability and the confidence we have in the auditability of the network. The credibility of Bitcoin is number one. The convenience of Bitcoin, and that's the engineering trade-off, convenience versus credibility, continues to be what we're all trying to negotiate all the time. The other blockchains in crypto went for convenience. No problem. Go experiment with that. As long as Bitcoin didn't have to get involved with that speed they're all at, we were fine, and it didn't. So Bitcoiners and crypto people even have maintained this understanding of don't trust, verify. And we are going to take that idea of don't trust, verify, and we're going to drop it into American brains during the 2024 election. It's what Trump didn't have last time. Trump did not have the memetic warfare game established to push don't trust, verify into every American brain. Now, with the failure of this order, they're going to have a hard time blocking the don't trust, verify meme from entering deep into the American subconscious. We're about to actually upgrade the entire American operating system. And the American operating system, once upgraded to don't trust, verify, is not going to be susceptible to any of these manipulations. And in their wisdom, Americans are about to embrace this. And as we embrace it, we're going to be doing great. We're going to be doing great. All right. That's what we got for today. So it's the same old news, guys. We're winning. It just sucks for fiat apocalypse people. So more than ever, I think I do need to write my book, The Bitcoiner's Guide to the Fiat Apocalypse. You'll hear more about that in the next little while. I've got the notes. I know what I got to write, but it'll take a few days to come out, right? Don't trust, verify plus not your keys, not your coins equals a whole new reality. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So but that's where we're at. That's the world we're entering. And the sovereign, exceptional people are going to help get us there. Imagine the difference this time around when you've got Patrick Bet-David, Elon Musk. Everyone is memeing the hell out of the election credibility stuff now, and it's not going to stop. And Bitcoiners are going to come as the reinforcements around that argument to a level that I don't think Americans have ever seen. It will not be the same as last time. Look who we're up against. George Stephanopoulos. I mean, we can kick the shit out of this guy intellectually. He's retarded. So we're going to be fine. We're going to be fine. Let it crash. Let the fiat apocalypse come. It sucks. I feel bad for people out there today. It can't be easy. But we told you this was coming. So we can't spend too much time lamenting it, right? This is what's coming. All right, team. I got a few things today to do. I got to head to great breakup gang today. Nolan, thanks. Thanks a lot, man. I got to head to Vermont today, I think, and get some stuff done. We'll see how it all goes. I'll let you know. All right, team. Peace.